Welcome back, True Seeker. This video is dedicated to the longtime YouTuber Styxhexenhammer666, the former Satanist, a lot like Mark Passio. Before I get to what I'd like to address about him, again, the big news story today is that Trump was reinstated in Colorado, something we knew that was going to happen from the day the news broke that he was removed on December 19th, because we knew it was all high ritual. And the thing is, Styxhexenhammer, who I'm dedicating this to, he considers himself an occultist, and I have to imagine that he is aware of everything that I'm showing each and every day. But man, has he made himself a huge following and a lot of money off the Trumpers by becoming part of that wave. And we'll talk about the definition of selling out here in a moment. Again, I am highly not interested in selling out. I am highly interested in waking the world up to how rigged the game is, to how rigged the elections are, to how rigged the news stories are each day, to the rituals that take place that control the minds of the masses and divide the people. Again, Kabbalah, which Freemasonry is based in. Washington, D.C., the Masonic city, the one that once had the statue of Albert Pike, where the same gentleman who wrote the book Morals and Dogma, where he said all of Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. In Kabbalah, there's a practice of coding numbers into words, known as Gematria. And in the English language, there are 4 base ciphers. The alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z is 26, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology. And you can see on the screen those 4 ciphers. Each word has 4 numerical values. And you can see election, Colorado, and leap year. And if I scroll down, you can even see how Donald Trump's nickname, the Donald, fits in. But election, Colorado, and leap year are the exact same in all 4 ciphers. The Donald is the exact same in 3 out of the 4. And let's, again, go through how these numbers all matter to the ritual. All mainstream news broke the story at 8:30 a.m. sharp today. Colorado time, that is. Colorado time, the state in focus. 8:30 a.m. Colorado time. That's 10:30 Eastern. That's 7:30 a.m. out on the West Coast, which is where I am. But it was 8:30 sharp that all the news syndicated the Supreme Court's decision that Trump had been reinstated. And like we talked about earlier this morning when I streamed why he would get put back on today, again, how it was all by the numbers. But notice, 8:30 a.m. Colorado time, 8:30 is when you get the news about him going back on the ballot. The 38 matters in a big way because Colorado's the 38th state in order of statehood. There's been several 38 rituals in this whole process up to this moment. Tomorrow, Super Tuesday, will be 38 weeks into Donald Trump's age, and it will also be 38 months since the insurrection, as they call it. 38 months. And remember, this was over the 14th Amendment and the accusation that he was an insurrectionist. Again, a term that equals 78 in Gematria, like Cleveland. And he'll be 78 later this year, Donald Trump, going with the 78 cards in the tarot deck, where the top cards are the Trump cards. There's 22 of those, and then 56 of the other ones, like the elections on the Jesuit High Holy Day, Guy Fawkes Day, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. But anyhow, Colorado, the 38th state, whole bunch of 38 rituals leading up to this, including Trump appealing the decision on January 3rd, 163 days before his birthday, which is the 38th prime number. Again, in Gematria, the baseball team there in Colorado. Colorado Rockies equals 163. 163 and 38. Pairs in a pond. But 8:30 a.m. the news breaks. Out of the 38th state. Keep in mind the federal city, D.C., is the city on the 38th parallel. 38's a very special number. Words like English, Gematria, energy, death, murder, killing, R.I.P., Pentagon, they all equal 38. Special number 38. The nation's killing department, the Pentagon on the 38th parallel. Not an accident. The number 38 is bigger than election, Colorado, and leap year, but understanding its death connection explains why you get so many mass shooting stories out of Colorado. The alphabetic order in reverse with numerology. Election, Colorado, leap year. Again, all 133. Other words that equal 133, president, White House, government. Go back to 2015, find the footage of the first GOP debate in 2015, the first time Trump spoke on Fox News. I don't think Styxhexenhammer666 was riding the Trump wagon yet, but the first graphic on the screen was Donald Trump is the 133rd richest man according to Forbes. And we said that day, I put out a video back then that day. Styxhexenhammer and I have been around for about the same amount of time. I don't think he's ever been deleted, though. I've been deleted 20-some times. And back in those days, we had around the same amount of subs. And you know what? Back then, I thought he used to do pretty good work. He covered a lot of topics. He's very knowledgeable about a lot of things. It's sad to see him diminish his body of work and his knowledge and just mostly just appeal to Trumpers now. But that's where he's gotten this huge following, selling Trump merchandise all the time in front of his Trump flag. It's like, this is why humanity will fall. Because people just aren't about anything other than materialism and their own self-gain, and it's sad. But lastly, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology, election, Colorado, and leap year, all 43. Today's date can be written 4/3. It's the old inauguration day. 43 is the 14th prime number, going with this case being about the 14th Amendment. And again, to top it off, if you guys saw this, and go back and look at the footage this morning, when Donald Trump addressed this ruling, did you see what time he took the stage? And we've been documenting these things with Trump and Biden and all these puppets. Donald Trump addressed the court's ruling beginning at 38 minutes after the hour. Go back and look. For anyone who doubts that, just go back and look. Just watch the news footage with the timestamp in the corner. You'll see that Trump began speaking 38 minutes after the hour. These things are not an accident. It's all ritual. All of it. And these things are planned long, long in advance. Case in point, Styxhexenhammer was born in 1988, and he was actually born on the new modern inauguration day, which we can talk more about. And 1988 was a big year for Donald Trump. If you've never seen Donald Trump's interview with Oprah Winfrey about if someday he might like to be president of the United States, go back and watch this from April 25th, 1988. Notice Gematria. The name Oprah equals 58, and the name Oprah Winfrey also equates to 58. And you might have noticed how Oprah Winfrey's 77, and Oprah's also 77. Consider that's a special number. United States is 77, and Washington, D.C. is on the 77th meridian. And, of course, on September 11th, 2001, Flight 77 supposedly hit the Pentagon, which is 77 feet tall, 77 minutes after taking off. Again, all high ritual. Not to mention, if you spell out September 11th, it's 77. Anyway, I want to come back to Oprah in 58 and Oprah Winfrey in 58. That's the focus here. Donald Trump, when he announced that he was running for the 2016 election, he announced from the 58-story Trump Tower, and then he went on to win the 58th presidential election. And people saw Trump as this authority figure from the show The Apprentice. And the honored apprentice is the first degree of Freemasonry at the Blue Lodge. Freemasonry's 58. D.C. is known as the Masonic City. Freemasonry's secrets are in Solomon's Temple. Styxhexenhammer666 has authored a number of short books. He actually has one where he's the author and the co-author is King Solomon. So again, I got to imagine that he knows about these things because he actually did a video probably back in 2015 or 2016, a short discussion of gematria. He's aware of these things. Solomon's Temple 58, like Secret Society, is 58. Again, these things are not an accident. Hillary's book about why she lost that election was called What Happened, which is 58. Again, Donald Trump hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray, the Nationals announcer, for Inauguration Day, replacing the gentleman who'd done it for decades prior. And with regards to the Nationals, who won the World Series in the time of Trump, look at the day of the interview. It was April 25th. Now, typically, that's the 115th day of the year. Yeah, 88 was a leap year, so it would have been the 116th day of the year. Trump was in office for the 115th and 116th Congress, but it matters that April 25th is typically the 115th day of the year. You might recall after Trump took office with the 115th Congress, he went on the thank you tour. Again, you ever seen a president go on a thank you tour? It was all ritual. Keep in mind the word Masonic itself is 115. The plural Freemasons is 115. D.C., the Masonic city, the Apprentice. The 115th World Series was won by the Nationals exactly 138 days after Donald Trump's birthday, something we projected before they even made the playoffs. It's a lot to explain, but we had Nationals over Astros in Game 7 138 days after Trump's birthday. Again, before the playoffs were even set, because the Nationals had to win out at the end of the year over the Cleveland Indians as they did by the numbers. Anyway, you see how Donald Trump's 138, Nationals is 138, Federal's 138, Dave Martinez is 138. That's their manager. You go back and look at that Game 7 box score that the Nationals won 138 days after Donald Trump's birthday. You'll also see that they had 159 pitches in the game, and that was Washington, D.C. over Houston. That same night in the NBA, Houston beat Washington, D.C. with 159 points. And Mike D'Antoni, the coach of the Rockets back then, got his career win number that was the 115th prime, going with the 115th World Series. The point I'm making is all of this stuff is scripted way out in advance, long planned. Players are literally born to fit the rituals that are planned for the rigged games. In the same way, people are chosen, if not birthed, for their future role in selected positions like the Oval Office. Because literally every selection in this nation is just that. It's not an election, it's a selection. Always go back to the 2000 election where it came down to Florida, where Jeb Bush was the 43rd governor, and then, of course, his brother became the 43rd president, and their daddy was the 43rd vice president, and they went to Yale and were in Skull and Bones, a powerful secret society that goes by a number, Order 322, which, it's a number that there's a lot to say about. Anyhow. For the 322, for the starter, just Genesis 322 mentions the tree of life, knowing good and evil. Again, the physical model for Kabbalah, where this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from, is the tree of life. There's a good half, which is the tree of life. There's an evil half, which is the clip-off. Anyhow, Donald Trump, it wasn't just this Oprah episode along the way. There was so much predictive programming in Donald Trump's career for his future role in office. Go look up the Suddenly Susan episode where he's projected as a future president. That episode came out on May 8th, 5/8. Many years before he became the president. Suddenly Susan was off the air decades before he was running for office. This is the kind of information the American people need to understand how rigged the game is. Back when that Suddenly Susan episode came out, I was probably around 6th grade, and my 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Peak, was teaching me that someday she hoped I would be in office, maybe even the president. She had so much hope in me because I used to always write these nice essays about all the things I'd like to do for the world when I got up and all the problems I saw that needed to be corrected. What she really should have been teaching me back then was this, and how rigged the game was. And I started to see it when I was a senior in high school, when I was 17 for that 2000 election. Again, I had Mr. Griffin's civic debate class, and we had to follow that whole election. And I remember I said after it all unfolded, after they told us a month in advance they came down to Florida, I told my teacher, I said, I'm pretty sure the whole thing is rigged. And he said I was a moron, which I thought was funny. But, I wasn't wrong. If anyone was a moron, it was him. He's older, more life experience, and couldn't see what I could see by the time I was 17. And see, the thing about a guy like Styxhexenhammer, I would never say this guy's not intelligent. I know this guy probably has a higher IQ than me. He knows about more things in the world than I do by a long shot. He's a very knowledgeable human being. But he's watered down his content to talk about almost nothing except for Trump, politics, and he has way more subs to show for it. I'm thinking back when I saw his Gematria video, he probably had about 50,000 subs, probably the same number I had back then. And for people watching my channel today, I understand I've been deleted 20-some times. YouTube's never let me eclipse 100,000. Twice I've been knocking at the door and got deleted both times. Got it back up to like 80-some thousand subs, got deleted again. And now we can't even grow the channel. Now it's just like they unsub as many people each day as people sub. It just stays here. But, yeah, the funny thing I think about Styxhexenhammer, though, is how he was born in 88. And then his January 20th birthday. That's interesting. And then I think about how he's a former member of the Church of Satan. Because so many trumpet people, they don't realize that MAGA, M-A-G-A, is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. MAGA is the highest degree. And a lot of people don't understand what Satanism is really all about. The first tenet of Satanism is to worship yourself. Essentially, it's all about ego, self-service. And, Styxhexenhammer can say he's a former Satanist, but I'd say as a knowledgeable, intelligent human being who I'm sure knows himself that he sold out to follow the ratings wave, wouldn't that be like satanic? So you can say you left the Church of Satan, but it might not matter if you're still embodying that kind of philosophy and practicing essentially what the first tenet is. It's so maddening to witness these things over the decade plus that I've been here. For people who are not familiar with this person, he's a very intelligent person, and he knows a lot about a lot. He has a great diversity of knowledge. But now everything is just Trump. I shouldn't say everything, but just almost everything in his channel is just that. And, to be like today he's celebrating. Today he is celebrating the Supreme Court ruling to reinstate Trump. It's like, this isn't something to be celebrated. He might be have become very wealthy from wearing the Trump flag and selling all the Trump merchandise and pandering these people and getting all the advertisements from it. But it's like, where are we being taken to by this nation? How much worse can it get? How many more rights and liberties can we lose? I'm sure he's having to pay a bundle in taxes to this totally corrupt government. Doesn't that sicken? I feel like that should sicken everybody. Especially if you're awake and you see how dishonest it is to have to pay taxes to this system, paying these judges and these puppets. All for this ritual, just to divide and outrage people, He's arguing today that, see, no liberals. He also says he used to be a liberal and now he's riding with the conservatives. He's just like Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump, he was always a Democrat until Obama. Remember when Obama was doing the White House Correspondents' Dinner back when he was president and Trump was there in attendance and he did a joke skit that Donald Trump would be the next president following him? And that was 45 days from Trump's birthday. Go figure. See, it wasn't a joke. It was literally they were telling you what was going to happen next. Again, in Gematria, Berlin Wall 45. Donald Trump called the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the wall when he ran on building a wall, and he ran on Reagan's mega, again, the same Ronald Reagan who came from Hollywood, and said, tear down that wall, in regards to the Berlin Wall. Nothing but jokes all over on the American people, and they're going almost over everybody's head. And you see a guy like Styxhexenhammer, if he was dedicated to the things he started with, putting out knowledge, waking people up to things that exist in this world, he could be having a great impact on pulling people out of the Trump cloud. Instead, he's putting them back in it. It might seem like it's to his benefit for the time being, his monetary benefit and whatever else he gets out of it, status, ratings. But the day that it becomes too late, the day they drive us to the cliff, I think even a guy like Styxhexenhammer is going to have regrets. Be like, why did I do that? Why did I sell out for that short period of time? Leading people down the Trump aisle. Oh, anyway, I want to come back to this statement. Today he's gloating about how it was a 9-0 decision. A 9-0 decision. He's saying, what can the liberals say now? Because, see, it's not biased. They just knew it was all unconstitutional. Okay. I'd encourage everybody to go back to the Donald Trump ad from about 2010 for Serta mattresses. He's talking to digital sheep. First, he's talking to a sheep with a 1 on it. And he's talking about how they'll never count sheep again, and he's born for the job. And then it cuts to another scene where he's in the hallway, and there's a sheep in the background with an 11 on its side, and there's a sheep in the foreground with a 9 on its side, like the date the election was called for him, November 9th. Donald also equals 119 in Gematria, as does Francis, as does Underwood, and you might recall the hit show House of Cards. at the time of the Trump election. Donald Trump, tarot, Trump cards. Again, 78 cards in the tarot deck. He's about to come back and be the next Grover Cleveland. But what Donald Trump says to the sheep in the scene is he puts up his thumb, and he's wearing the same suit and tie that he wore for selection night back in 2016. He puts up his thumb like this and goes, "Looking good, number 9. Looking good." Why did they do that? Because if you add 1 through 9 together, it equals 45. 45 is the 9th triangular number. Again, the Masons, like they etch on their temple, all is number. Masonry, Kabbalah based in the Torah. 4th book of the Bible, Numbers. 4, the foundation in numerology. Again, all is number. It literally is. That's why everything our government does, our federal government located in the Masonic City, everything they do, that's not an exaggeration, everything they do is a numerical ritual. You learn this code, you start to see how perfect it is. All these little votes they have, all these stories that come up, the numbers that come up, you see why it's this senator or this congressman in the news that each day, high ritual every single day. It is occultism. And Styxhexenhammer, he does know a lot about the occult. All of his books that he's written are about the occult. So to not help reveal what's going on, the occult rituals taking place every single day, again, when you learn this, you realize there isn't really a true separation between the liberal people in office and the conservative people. Yeah, the rhetoric might look different. It might be divisive in that regard. That is the purpose. But at the end of the day, these people are all playing their part in one seamless agenda. Again, go back to 2020, the year of the pandemic. Gavin Newsom, liberal Jesuit. Donald Trump, the former liberal, now conservative Jesuit. Anthony Fauci, the, middle of the road Jesuit. Cuomo, the Democratic Jesuit. Again, there was one number that connected all men. Trump's Jesuit education began at Fordham in 64. In 64. Here we are on the 64th day of the year with this big Supreme Court ruling. 64 spaces on the chessboard. Again, the Illuminati, founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt 64 days before July 4th, 1776. But Gavin Newsom saying 56% of California is going to get the virus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. Trump waits until the 56th date numerology, Friday the 13th, 2020, to declare the emergency for the nation. That was 56 years after his Jesuit education began. He went to Fordham. You got the 56th governor of New York from Fordham, who becomes like America's governor on TV every day talking about the pandemic. You got Anthony Fauci, whose name is 56 in Gematria, like Society of Jesus, like Gavin Newsom, like Washington, D.C., going all the way back to the 56 signers. Again, for people who don't know, the Jesuits were in suppression when this nation was founded. The Jesuits are occultists too. That's why every single exorcist movie they put out in Hollywood, it's always a Jesuit priest. Not to mention the first exorcist movie set at Georgetown. But again, the Jesuits were in suppression when the nation was founded. Founders such as Jefferson and Adams, who died on the same day, were worried what would happen when the Jesuits came out of suppression. You can see the Jesuit take over this nation through time by understanding the numbers, by understanding the history. The Jesuits set up camp in D.C. Eventually, the federal city was moved to D.C. Eventually, Inauguration Day was moved from March 4th to January 20th, which is the 201st day of the nation's age. Funny enough, it's Styxhexenhammer's birthday. And I'm not going to say that he's in the club. Could be coincidental. Could even be part of the reason the Jesuit-run Google company chose him and put him in the algorithm. Helped his channel grow so much. Maybe it's why he's gotten a pass and never been deleted. But for people who don't know, January 20th, 20/1 like 201, it's the 201st day of the nation's age, and 201 super important to the Jesuits. They were saved by Catherine the Great in history, who preserved the order with 201 Jesuit priests. The first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. Donald Trump, his wife fell down the stairs and she died July 14th, 2022. And then they buried her on the 201st day of the year, July 20th, the anniversary of the moon landing. For the record, in Gematria, Neil Alden Armstrong's 201, like Order of Illuminati's 201, like heliocentrism's 201, established in the 16th century, that model, the same century as the Jesuits, the calendar, the language. The moon is illuminated by the sun. Order of Illuminati 201, like the Jesuit Orders 201. The Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati. Again, the first founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, his name's 201. The first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio's 201, to go with him being the first Jesuit Pope and the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. And that name of that building, Domus Sanctae Martyr, 201. Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, 201. That's the Jesuit priest who did the funeral for Beau Biden and the inauguration for Joe Biden. Beau Biden died 201 days before the Pope's birthday. Limestone Road, 201. That's where Joe Biden's wife and daughter died when he first became senator-elect, supposedly in a car crash. That was in 72. Then when he was 72 years old, his son died. Remember, Jesuit order, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, they all equal 72. Just the other day, they were telling us 7.2 million have crossed the border in the time of Biden's presidency. All made up numbers, all from this Jesuit cabal that everyone can see right through if they just learn this little simple code that so few people will talk about. But to Styxhexenhammer's credit, he did briefly touch on the subject getting close to 10 years ago. It's better than most people have done. It's just, to be so knowledgeable about the occult and then to seemingly mostly stop talking about it and then just become like what's the word? Essentially a talking head for these political parties, not much different than a Sean Hannity. I mean, to water yourself down to the Sean Hannity of YouTube, it's sad. Anyway, you see how he's born January 20th and he's also born in 88? Again, 88's the year that Trump had his interview with Oprah. The point about 88, remember, Trump equals 88. Purple equals 88. You might recall Bill and Hillary, when they conceded to Trump in 2016, they both came out wearing purple. Elizabeth equals 88. You might remember the 2016 convention where Trump came out to Queen, "We are the champions," and got criticism. That was 88 days after Queen Elizabeth's birthday. And you might recall, just before that, you might recall April 21st, 421. 21 is like the letter U. U. Prince, Purple Rain, he had that song, "I Would Die," number 4, letter U. I Would Die, 421. Ended up dying 33 years after recording Purple Rain on 421 on the Queen's birthday. And then they lit up Niagara Falls purple that day, where Vanity's from, who died earlier that year, the day of the 58th Grammys. You see how Purple Rain's 58? Again, 58th Grammys. Prince's girlfriend's dead that day. The day she died, sadly, I put out a video saying why it looked like Prince was probably going to die soon in connection to her passing. Prince was 57 at the time, which means he was in his 58th year of life. And that was 2016, leading up to the 58th presidential election, again after Trump announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower. And don't forget that Prince had the song Black Donald Trump, right? Prince also died 201 days before Election Day. Prince died 201 days before Election Day. Again, Biden sacrificed a bunch of people in 201 rituals. By the way, again, Biden losing his family on Limestone Road back in 72. The pyramid's made out of limestone. There's 72 bricks on the pyramid on the dollar bill. Great Pyramid of Giza also equates to 201. And if you look it up, there's 201 remaining layers of stone on the Great Pyramid of Giza. And you think about the Illuminati, right? The Illuminati. Common symbol. The pyramid with light coming off of it. In Hebrew gematria, the word light connects with the number 201. Light is knowledge to the occult. In English, the phrase knowledge is power is 201. Light is knowledge to the occult. Makes sense, right? There's an author, Wade Coleman. He wrote the book Sefer Sapphires. In that book, he talks about how through Hebrew, 201 pertains to the idea and concept of light. Wade Coleman's not his real name, he says in the book. He says it's his chosen pen name. I wonder where he got it from. You know what I mean? There's a gazillion 201 rituals you can go through. And they happen a lot in Washington, D.C. A lot of times they are connected to ritual sacrifice. You can see that they literally are Illuminati rituals. Again, Trump's ex-wife was buried on the 201st day of the year, 45 years after getting married to Trump. And she died exactly 60 weeks into the Jesuit Ignatian. I wrote Donna Trump. Whoops. Those small hands, maybe that is the real name. But anyway, Donald Trump has that 60 gematria. Again, the upcoming election is the 60th U.S. presidential election. She died exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year. And go back and look at all the headlines pertaining to Trump that day. Before she died, the first story was Trump hinted that he would run for the 60th presidential election. The next headline was that there was a 72-page report by conservatives against Trump based on 60 cases. And you go back and look at my videos from that day, July 14, 2022. I was covering both these things. I was saying, you see how this stuff synced up with the Jesuit Ignatian year, and it's 60 weeks in, and now Trump's hinting that he's going to run for the 60th election. So we were covering these stories one by one, and then a headline breaks later in the day that his ex-wife's dead. And I'm just like, come on, man. Now this too, 45 years after their marriage in 77. And by the way, you see how secret society is 77, just like United States is 77. And again, Washington, D.C. is known as the Masonic City, and it's on the 77th meridian. From December 19th, the day that Trump got taken off the ballot, to today, the day that the Supreme Court on the 77th meridian rules in Trump's favor, is a span of 77 days. And how old is Trump right now? He's 77. And, sometimes I wonder about things like this. Like, I will not accuse a guy like Tarl Warwick or Styxhexenhammer666 of being the same thing. But I do look at this and I ponder for a minute. I'm like, is this guy in the club too? I mean, I just don't know anymore. But it's interesting that 77, and he's got the 139 and 158, just like Freemasonry, and he's got the 49 like Scottish, and it just makes you wonder. But that could be a coincidence. What's not a coincidence is just the long history of 201 that goes to the beginning of this nation. Again, the first Chief Justice of the U.S. was Chief Justice John Jay. Very first Chief Justice of this country, Chief Justice John Jay. 201. The Jesuit suppression ended in the time of James Madison, who wrote the Constitution, which, as George W. Bush told us, was nothing but words. And it seems pretty true, because I don't feel like we really have any of the rights discussed on there. And I don't feel like we've had them in our lifetime, and I feel like we're losing whatever we did have more and more as time passes on. I don't feel like that. I know we are. But James Madison is Mr. 201, and again, the Jesuit suppression ended in his time, and you can go, there's so many things, you guys. The CIA, the words in their logo, Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America, 201. Their motto, the work of a nation, the center of intelligence, 201. When was the CIA founded? On the 201st day of the Pope's age. Who do the Jesuits, the 201 gang, serve? They say, serve the Catholic Pope, 201. This is what runs our nation. Again, we're on Rome's calendar. We're speaking their language, which is English. So many people in high places have that Jesuit education or Catholic education. You look at people like Nancy Pelosi. How can they possibly be there for so long, It's omnipresent once you're aware of it. And it's so sad that there's so much evidence for what's going on that's largely come out of the research of our community, seemingly one of the only communities on the internet that actually wants to change and expose things. And meanwhile, it's like everyone around us who talks a good game. Well, some people, it's like Styxhexenhammer used to talk a good game. I can't say that he talks a good game anymore. Brian at High Impact Flicks, another guy that YouTube allowed to reach 500,000 subs without scrubbing him off the platform 1,000 times. I still like Brian's rhetoric. He might be a grifter and a salesman, and that's essentially what Styxhexenhammer's become too. But I still like Brian's rhetoric. I don't think he means a word of what he says, but even though he might not really mean any of it, the things he's saying might actually influence people to have the right thoughts. I can't say that about Styx anymore. He's telling people to vote Trump, and he's participating in all this political divide crap. It's nothing but trash. Brian, at least, is saying the right things, that the two-party system is a deception. It's a rigged ball game. It's not to be participated in. You should not ever support the lesser of two evils. To support the lesser of two evils means you support some form of evil. So I'll continue to give Brian his credit, but he's also not really about anything. The only time anyone ever saw Brian do a live stream out on the street was when he left Oklahoma because we showed up there on April 19th to expose the massive 201 ritual that went down in 95 at the Oklahoma City building. Again, for people who don't know, Timothy McVeigh's 201, Terry Lynn Nichols is 201, Richard G. Millar's 201, Richard Snell's 201, Ignatius of Loyola's 201. Again, April 19th, big day all throughout history. It's not an accident. The Revolutionary War started that day. That's the day in history that Ignatius became the first superior general of the Jesuits. The Jesuits' original mission to counter the 95 Theses. In 95, a massive 201 ritual, blowing up the federal building and a bunch of children with it. What's directly behind that building? Oh, that's right, the Masonic Lodge. Modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. If you look into that lodge after it got destroyed from the explosion, it sold for $201,000. Look it up. That's how sick it is. That's how sick it is. And, you know, Brian, we asked him to come out there and bring his audience out. And, you know, let's wake up Oklahoma to what really happened. Let's wake them up to what really happened to Terrence Yankee, the one officer who spoke up about how things didn't seem right there and then was found slashed to pieces and supposedly committed suicide even though he had stab marks all over his body and was bound. The authorities said, oh, yeah, it's suicide. It's like, how can it be a suicide when you're all tied up and stabbed to death? It's how corrupt this nation is, and those are the kind of lies that they get away with. From Oklahoma City to 9/11 to the pandemic, simulated with Event 201 by the Jesuit Klaus Schwab. On the same day, the military World Games began in Wuhan, China, credited to the Jesuits originally, that's why they began in Italy. But yeah, it's just like, when I see Styxhexenhammer, I feel like this is why the world might actually never change, because everyone will just sell out. I shouldn't say everyone, but so many people will. And then even the people like Brian. For people who don't know, Brian was watching what we were doing in Oklahoma City, and he saw how when I showed up there, the authorities were waiting for me, and they went hands-on and started shoving me around to make sure I was nowhere near the property. Brian had a video out on that right away, and he goes, the mistake he made here was he showed up by himself. He should always be with a group of people when you do something like this. And it's like, dude, you got to be kidding me, man. He's broadcasted from Las Vegas for the first time, giving us a tour of Trump Tower was Brian, because he couldn't show up in his own backyard in Oklahoma. I drove all the way out from the Seattle area. He couldn't drive an hour down the road to be there with us to expose one of the most corrupt things that ever happened in this nation's history. Of course, they had to put McVeigh to death at 33, and he did it for Waco, where David Koresh was killed at 33, and then McVeigh was put to death 3 months before 9/11 when 2 towers became 0 before they became 1, 33 years after their construction began in 68. Same year 911 was made the code. Go on and on about all the things that went down in 1968, from coronavirus being coined to fentanyl being approved by the FDA, and why in 68. Again, you learn this knowledge, you understand why. Self-evident. But yeah, this is the kind of guy right here that should be doing what I'm doing, but at an even higher level. See, I have no doubt that Styxhexenhammer can do what I do and do it even better. He knows more about the occult than I do, just like Mark Passio. Mark Passio, still gloating about how he's the greatest mind in the history of truth speakers. And it's like, dude, you got to shut up, man. You disappeared for the first year and a half of the pandemic and didn't say a word at the most crucial moment of our history. Sorry. You're not ranked number 1 all time just for that alone. But yeah, both these guys, a lot of knowledge about the occult. You know, Mark Passio's not telling people to sell out for politics, but man, Styx, just shameful. Just shameful to become essentially, you know, just a political tool. Selling Trump hats. His line says, I am God. I am God. Okay. I don't think God supports Trump. It's my opinion. But yeah, you guys. Here, let me see if Google bought my old blog and now they just take down posts. Let me see if I can find my old Suddenly Susan May 8th episode, Donald Trump is president. Let's go back and see what year that was. Donald Trump. Remember, Mike Pence, you know, they do this with so many of these people. Mike Pence, 45, forwards and backwards, the VP to number 45, like Berlin Wall's 45, ritual is 27 and 45. Trump called as the 45th president-elect on the 27th anniversary of the fall of the wall. Berlin Wall also 63. 2016 was the 63rd triangular number. RIP to Muhammad Ali in that year, like the Prophet Muhammad died at 63. Not to mention we called 4 years in advance why he would die at 74. Fateful number. But, Joe Biden was VP to number 44, Barack Obama. See how Joe Biden's 64 and 44 like Maui? 64, 44. Joe Biden waited 13 days to go speak in Maui after the purposefully set fires. Shows up on Hawaii's 64th birthday as a state to address it. Again, 13 days after the fire when the Committee of 13 once overthrew Hawaii. And who's from Hawaii? That's right, Obama. Hope, 44 and 64, what he ran on. Elected the 44th president 44 years after the Civil Rights Act is 64, when civil rights is 64, and so is Barack Hussein Obama. His name's also 116 like African American, which is why the Dodgers won the 116th World Series after Mookie Betts came over in the Jackie ritual on 4/2 in the offseason when Jackie's 42. Anyway, you can go on all day about this knowledge and just see how rigged the game is. World Series, election, this news story, that Super Bowl, that NBA Finals, that ritual murder, just on and on and on and on. This knowledge, you just see through it every single day. It's why I've been here every day just pumping out content all day, and I still can't keep up with 10 other stories, because if I had time, I would have showed how those other 10 were just like it too. That's why I don't know any other knowledge. Like literally, this knowledge allows you to take advantage of the rig market, rig sports, not get sucked in by the rig politics. I literally have never come across anything as important as this knowledge to know about. Literally nothing. And I've done a lot of reading and research. When I found this, I said, wow, this thing is amazing. I thought when Styx did his one video on Gematria, I thought, maybe he's going to get going on this. Maybe he's going to do a lot more. I think he was one and done. And I don't know, maybe he does have handlers. Who knows? Maybe they're like, don't do that against Styx. We'll never let you get to 500,000 subs. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe his handler's like, all right, Styx, enough with the occultism. Bring the herd in for the Trump. But my God, man. How long has he been sitting in front of that Trump flag now? He used to have a Trump... he's got a new one, at least 2024, but he's been in front of a Trump flag for a long time now, this Styxhexenhammer666. But he's just perfect. He's just perfect, really. His birthday's perfect. Former Satanist, mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. Donald Trump with his big old ego. By the way, hey, Styx, see, if you guys ever go to this website, Rational Wiki, it pretty much hates on, like, YouTubers, right? This website was, like, a fake wiki to hate on YouTubers, and it looks like they have something with people who are right-wing, because they put him in the Frogs, Clowns, and Swastikas All-Right group, and this website's nasty, so you can see they have a pretty good write-up on him, and they took some things that they have exception with. They say these are the conspiracy theories he subscribes to. So, he has a pretty solid write-up here, Styxhexenhammer. And, what I'm happy to say is, I used to have the biggest Rational Wiki on the whole website. Like, nobody had a bigger write-up. They haven't really done anything with mine since 2018, and that's because I haven't gotten any views since 2018. It's like, they're like, we don't even need to address Zachary K. Hubbard anymore, because the algorithm wiped him out. But look how much is here. They have not touched this thing since 2018. It's just been stuck here. It's still a huge write-up. It's just, again, I'm like, it's like I don't exist. It's like we're a ghost. Again, for people who are new here, I used to get a lot of views back in the day. Again, like, average views probably in 2017 were 100,000 per video. And now... Oh, wait, hold on. They did add something here about the Larry Johnson interview in 2020. I think that's probably the last thing that they had to touch up. But yeah, you can see that, I mean, my write-up is quite sprawling. I don't think they've added anything else besides that Larry Johnson interview. Shout out to Larry Johnson, wherever he is. Larry Johnson. Once upon a time, I was in high school and he was on my fantasy football team. Now he's doing Gematria because he learned it from yours truly. Shout out to the LJ. But, it's gross, you guys. I mean, it's like, why aren't people outraged about the way we're lied to? Why is it that like material gain like soothes that problem for people? If somebody came and gave me $1 billion right now, I would be just as mad about everything as I was before somebody gave me $1 billion. And all I'd want to do with that $1 billion is make the Gematria Effect News Network and hire all the people and get the buses out there and the cars and the vehicles in every town, educate about this in every city until we change something. Ugh. That anomaly character. You know, today I was in there sharing with him about what they did in the election, and then he's like, see, look at that guy spamming in my chat, being all douchey. I gotta block him. It's like, what? Because I'm sharing about the ritual they just did as he's talking about, you know. It's just nothing but sellouts and idiots on the tube, man. Sellouts and idiots. There's no accident that they put out all the news at 8:30 a.m. sharp. I mean, we're right here documenting. Look, I got the screenshots. Like CNN had the update at 8:30 a.m. Look, this is 3 minutes ago. I took the screenshot for what time it was in Colorado, and I was literally 3 minutes behind. They put this out right at 8:30. Everybody. Every news network on their front page, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, BBC, all of them. 8:30 Colorado time, the news breaks. And again, we've been talking about these numbers in this state and these kind of rituals forever. But then Trump even has to go out there like a puppet. And then it cuts right to him at 38 minutes after the hour as he starts talking about the decision. Again, look at this, you guys. Look at it all. Trump's birthday is the flag's birthday, June 14th. Remember, he took office when the flag was 239 years old. He had to take on the protesters of the flag on 23/9. That's the 52nd prime, 239. In the year of Super Bowl 52. And the next thing you know, Philly, from where the flag was sewn at 239 Arch Street, is in the Super Bowl versus the Patriots, the flag on the helmet, just like we called it in week 3, the day Trump took him on, because he's a puppet on the stage. The first protest of the flag in the NFL was by Kaepernick on the 239th day of the year. But yeah, even go back and look at the article about Trump weighing 239 pounds, according to his doctor around that time. It's all a joke. It's all a joke. But from Trump's birthday to Super Tuesday tomorrow, and now he's back on the ballot in Colorado. Oh my God, I cannot hit any of the right buttons. Look, it's exactly 38 weeks into his age, right? Exactly 38 weeks. It's also 266 days, like the Jesuit motto, Isus Somnum Salvator is 266, going with the first Jesuit Pope being the 266th Pope Francis, who spoke in D.C. on the 266th day of the year. And from January 6th, the staged insurrection, which Jesuit Georgetown simulated, it's exactly 38 months. Exactly 38 months. That's what this whole thing was over, right? The 14th Amendment and the insurrectionist. The 14th Amendment has a lot to do with the Civil War, and the Confederate flag flew that day. And remember, it was 201 days after the Albert Pike statue fell on June 19th. Remember, just all these 201s. June 19th, 2020, the Albert Pike statue fell. The same guy who wrote Morals and Dogma and said Masonry is based in Kabbalah. But from the day the statue fell, a year to the day of them making Juneteenth a holiday, it was 201 days earlier. Let's not forget Pike's birthday is 1229, like 1229, the 201st prime, and that's why Netanyahu came back on 1229, synced up with their war when Pike's letter about 3 world wars was published on the Jesuit Order's birthday, August 15th, and the last one's going to be with political Zionism. But yeah, the 201, it goes with the history of the Confederates. Confederates is 201. Confederate is 201. Lincoln blamed the Civil War on the Jesuits. And again, the Albert Pike statue fell because George Perry Floyd was killed in a huge 201 ritual. George Perry Floyd, 201. Killed exactly 201 weeks after a Gematriae, who was killed on the 201st day of the year in Paris, France, the home of the Jesuits. Their names were protested together in Europe because they were killed in similar fashion by police. But George Perry Floyd was killed on when? Memorial Day, which came out of the American Civil War. And right now we got a new Civil War movie that's about to come out. Remember the preview for it, Alex Garland, who's making the movie, the preview, when it first was a buzzing thing, when they put the trailer out for the first time, it was 201 days after his birthday. You know. And just the endless jokes, Harriet Tubman and slavery, she's another 201. And remember, they were going to put her face on the 20, and then Steve Mnuchin, the Skull and Bones member, he came out days before the George Floyd thing and said they're not going to do the Harriet Tubman 20 thing. And then you got George Floyd with the fake 20. And, he's killed on the corner of 38th Street in Minnesota, where Minnesota's 38, like death, like murder, like killing, like RIP, like Kabbalah, like Gematria, like English, like energy, like how this ritual today in Colorado for the election is about manipulating people's energy. All of this is one big manipulation. Bill Maher, that little Jesuit, saying January 6th was the 93 World Trade Center bombing and the 2024 election is going to be 9/11. Again, RFK Jr. getting in the race 144 days after the Black Pope's birthday. Arturo Sosa, the leader of the Jesuits, like his dad died at 1:44 a.m. and JFK died 144 days from his meeting with the Pope, like Lincoln was shot on 14/4. The Jesuit order is 201, and if you drop the Jesuit order is 144, and it's like James Madison, Mr. 201. The Jesuits came out of suppression 144 days after his birthday. Donald Trump was with the Jesuit Pope at the White House, or at the Vatican. The Vatican, the only place with less gold on it than Trump's own apartment. But Trump was at the Vatican on the 144th day of the year, May 24th, 2017, after dropping by Israel for Jerusalem Day. Again, State of Israel's 201. Netanyahu left on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. By the way, that's the day the 14th Amendment was finally passed by Congress. Also the day leaving 201 days left in the year. So I'm pretty sure that's why they also centered this around the 14th Amendment. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, you can go on all day. There's a gazillion 201s out there. And you know what, Styxhexenhammer, if you're out there and think like I'm just talking nothing but nonsense and craziness, want to debate? Would you like to have a debate? Would you like to have a debate about it? Let's hear. I seriously want to hear you tell me how great of a guy Donald Trump was for the nation. Because again, what makes America America? Is it not the First Amendment? Is it not the First Amendment? Because what did Donald Trump do for the First Amendment? He came in. He said, "Man, I'd like to censor all my critics." Then next thing you know, all of his critics were being taken out on the tube and in social media, just getting censored everywhere. I got deleted overnight. I was gone June of 2017. How many years of work was that? Just down the drain overnight. 10,000 YouTube videos gone. And they got me in the worst way because I announced that I was taking a 2-week break, like the first time I'd ever taken a break to put the finishing touches on my first book. And then I came back and I didn't have anywhere to market my book to. I was just deleted. Thought, wow, that was nice. Deleted me on Elon Musk's birthday, another Jesuit puppet. Who's been doing 144 and 201 rituals with his platform X. Again, X, the 24th letter, rebrands as X on 24/7 while the country and the Illuminati are 247 years old. By the way, today's a span of 247 days from the rig selection on Guy Fawkes Day. Remember the 5th of November, November 5th, 115, like 115, like how he took office with the 115th Congress, like how that shooting at the Colorado Supreme Court that happened 44 weeks before the election on the nose when shooting's 44 and Trump was the 44th person to be president. Yeah, he was number 45, but the 44th person. Again, JFK was the 44th term president. Lincoln dreamed on 4/4 that he'd be shot only to be shot 10 days later in a theater, at least so we're told. Shot in a theater with all the political theater, all the stories to believe in. But yeah, if you go back and look at that Colorado Supreme Court shooting, he said they shot up the empty building after they took Trump off the ballot. They said he shot it up at 1:15 a.m. 1:15 a.m. First caucus, January 15th, 115. Trump gets 56% of the vote. Like November 5th, 115 leaves 56 days left in the year. Like Society of Jesus in Washington, D.C. equal 56. And Trump's most infamous year is last year in office, 2020. 56 years after his Jesuit education began. Yeah, I wish we could get a debate. I wish somebody would try to debate me. I just hate being a phantom on here. It's like we cannot get anybody to share the knowledge. Going to Anomaly Stream Day is like, I don't know why you care so much if my audience knows about it. It's like, my point is, everyone needs to know about it. Why not share the knowledge? I mean, what he was talking about was that, what's her name? Is her name Sydney Sweeney? She better look out being on HBO the way they like to off people. She's actually from this region. She's from Washington State, Spokane. The girl from Euphoria, the big boobs. She's like on SNL or something. He was talking about her big boobs. I was like, dude, how about we talk about the numbers and the ritual today, man? Let's get the knowledge out. Talking about her big boobs isn't going to change the world. He's like, I got to block this guy. He's just spamming my chat. Just spamming your chat with information. I type fast. Look at this comment right here. I love this comment. Zach, you are distracted by numbers from the nanotechnology deployed on humanity. I don't think we're distracted. And to say it's the nanotechnology, this stuff's been going on since the 16th century. There wasn't any nanotechnology back then. Maybe pay attention to what I'm saying and pull your head out of your ass. We're exposing serious agendas and how the whole world's being manipulated and distracted from everything but what matters. That we're being lied to and that we're ruled over by tyrants. Again, you can help people step their game up and get more knowledge. But yeah, it's true. I mean, he might not have the brightest knowledge. I mean, literally, who is Anomaly? He's like literally a beta male rapper, makes emasculated music, and got somewhat famous off his song, I Like Trump. Oh, man. Yeah, it's true. I mean, almost everyone on the tube's here to make money. Yeah, it's very true. But where are the people that actually want to change the world? Like, where are they at? At the end of the day, I just feel like that's all everybody's worried about is their own financials, and like everyone's just still too comfortable. That's how they got us, man. The world is just too damn comfortable, even when they shouldn't be. After what we saw go down in 2020, the way they could just take away people's livelihoods and businesses in the name of a 99.9% survivable bug that was taking out some elderly people in the nursing home. It's just a damn shame. Trump's perfect ritual being at the World Economic Forum gloating about his trade deal with China on the day the virus is confirmed in the U.S., the first case outside of mainland China. Again, if you guys forgot about that, January 21st, 2020, it was Trump's 222nd day of his age. World Economic Forum 222. Wuhan coronavirus 222. Event 201 222, the name of the simulation. In New York, New York 222. The pandemic declared exactly 222 months after 9/11. Also in New York. At least most of it. Who's still selling fear and doom porn? Who's doing that? It's not what we do over here. Over here, we put out knowledge to see through the agendas so that we know who to organize and network against and stop. But that's only going to happen if enough people wake up to it, which is pretty much impossible to do when you're being destroyed by the algorithm and seemingly everybody else is just shrugging their shoulders and like, you know what, I'm just going to stay over here in my lane because I got all the subs and I'm selling t-shirts and hats like crazy. We don't sell any fear porn over here. We sell preparation. And by the way, I've been hosting a website for 5 years that's censorship-free that allows people to organize and network, and I've promoted that that's what we need to do. So don't come here and tell me that I haven't been providing solutions. I've been trying to do a lot more than that, too. We've been organizing, gathering, showing up at places on anniversaries, trying to wake cities up. It'll only happen if more people participate. The Missing Link Live. Apologies, Missing Link Live. I know I did the Truth Telethon, and then I was invited to another one, and I was supposed to be there, and I forgot. I apologize. Yeah, I appreciate what you guys are doing. A lot of people in my community, when I did that, thought the main host had to be a shill because he was in front of like a huge tiger rug, and everything right back then in the media was all tigers. Yeah, that was back at the start of the pandemic, I remember, and I said, just like I wrote in my book, I said, watch, when the year of the tiger comes around, that's when they'll wind down all this crap. So they're putting the tiger symbolism all in front of your face. In Jewish gematria, tiger equals 201. That's why they did that. Event 201 simulation, and then 2 years of crap, and then the 201 year rolls around, and it's all over. Can we interview the Missing Link Live? Missing Link Live, do you want to come on the stream? I know exactly who you are. I think it was you who was in front of the tiger. I didn't think that meant you were a show. I was like, I think that part's the one coincidental tiger symbol that's out there. If you want to come on the stream, Missing Link Live, I just dropped it for you. Yeah, you can interview me. You can also come on here and promote your platform real quick if you want to. Neo, I said yesterday that right now Apple, iHeartRadio, and Google are all rejecting my podcast. So I'm trying to figure out why. I don't know if it's because it's called Wake the Fuck Up Radio and I need to change the name, but it's just rejecting it, and it's not like really giving a reason for why. So I can make a Russell Wilson t-shirt like the one I had. But yeah, I never sold that t-shirt. I made it for educating about rig football when we went down to Louisiana to teach them about the Joe Burrow sacrifices for LSU's championship. I'll post it again. That's the link. I just dropped it again, the Missing Link Live. You just click that link that I just put in the chat. But yeah, I should start making more shirts like that because, again, those really are conversation starters when you just have a long list of connections to one number. And since everyone's so into football, the Russell Wilson 21 examples just, it's mind-blowing. For the person who wrote the sentence, wake the fools up equals 201, it's like, do you understand that putting a sentence like that in there might also just make somebody go, oh, maybe everything's just a coincidence then if even that sentence, wake the fools up equals 201. Again, we don't make up sentences and share what that decode is. We just say, like, look how this Jesuit history is all connected to 201 and how all these central Jesuits have this 201 connection and they're performing all these rituals around this number. To show that, and then to say, and then also wake the fools up equals 201. That's like where you shoot yourself in the foot. So for those of you guys who don't know that, I know that you're not out there trying to share the information at all, and maybe just we do need more comments. It supposedly helps the algorithm, but if those are the comments, just maybe sit back and learn a little bit. Share something that's helpful. Oh, you're saying rename the podcast? Okay. I see. Okay. Wake the fools up. I don't know, though. Because then are people going to tune in? Or are people like, what? He's calling me a fool? Okay. Did you want to join the stream? I'm dropping the link again. But I haven't seen you come in the room. When Crow started his podcast, I was his most recurring guest. He used to have me on all the time. And I'm pretty Crow was the first person with a platform when I started that recognized my work, and I think it's because he's already aware of it. If you look at the way he spells his name is coded for 77. He spells it with 2 R's. Crow is 77 like that, and his channel's Crow 777. So, but yeah, I don't know. Then just one day he just vanished, and we don't communicate anymore. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I hear you, Jeremiah. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Especially when you're here not selling out and doing the right thing, and you found stagnancy. And you guys, I told you guys when I did the podcast that I need people to go there and give it a view and a click and a play so that it can track in the algorithm. You know how many people have done it right before I went live? 94 people. 94 people. 94, and I put it on my Twitter that has 30-some thousand subs, and this. Again, the podcast only can be successful if people help out. What? Oh, Michael, you're not who was supposed to come on here, but what's up, Michael?
Oh, no, not much, Zach. I didn't know. I thought you were having people on, so I thought you were having people on. That's why I come in here. But
well, you can come on here. The Missing Link Live says he's coming on in a minute. So what's up?
Oh no, I just what you were saying, with this whole agenda thing and where we're being taken. It's.
Oh, hold on, Michael. I got the audio setting all wrong. Fix it. Now you're good. Go ahead.
Like you're saying, this whole agenda thing and where we're being taken and all this. It's not a good look. People they gotta wake up. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. Like you said, revolution or bust. I mean, I think we're well past that though right now. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm hoping that we can get support up by Inauguration Day and we can have a big showing and try and create a big splash and make something happen, because I can't stand to think of just another puppet being installed, and
Yep.
especially the overgrown Orange Oompa Loompa who sold out the First Amendment and gave us the Switzerland pandemic and printed $1 gazillion to hyperinflate the money. It's tragic. So, Michael, I wanted to let this gentleman come on though, because he runs a platform.
Yeah, you're good. You're good, Zach. Yeah,
but it's good to see you. You're looking good, Michael. You're looking good. I like the new look.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, man.
All right, you have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Now here's a man of action who helps get out the word about all kinds of important things in this world. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
All things considered, I guess I'm doing all right. I wish things were different in the world, but we're working to make them better. So,
Well, I've seen more people kind of become awake and aware and question the narrative in the last 4 years than I have in the 30 years combined that I've been rattling the cages for. So there is hope.
30 years? You've been at it a long time. Hats off to you.
Yeah, man, never was kind of a face, but I remember 30 plus years ago, I was trying to organize the people that I was with to take over the government at the time, but they were all too busy wanting to make money and didn't care about the political side of things. So yeah, it's been a long and lonely road for a long time, but now, more ever since, well, before the Truth Telethon, we did this thing called the High Vibe Love Tribe. So I'm not sure if you are aware of what that is, but at the time when the lockdowns kind of first happened, David Wilcock was doing a Meditate for the Earth Day, and so I told everybody we need to pray for the Earth, we need to meditate for the Earth, and I was posting it all, everywhere. And then when he went live, they were ringing their Tibetan singing bowls, so I decided to go live. And next thing you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 people showed up and they're like, this is amazing. You got to come back tomorrow. And so while they wanted everybody to be in fear, we decided to pivot. Instead of making people awake and aware to the dark underbelly of the beast like we did for so long, we decided to just raise the vibration. So we just gave people a nice, safe space to come to. So we went live 7 days a week, 2 to 4 hours a night. It got named the High Vibe Love Tribe. I turned on some techno music, just started dancing in front of everybody, and then slowed it down, put on a guided meditation, some healing frequencies, Tibetan singing bowl, and just a safe space where nobody could talk about the thing that was going around. Nobody could talk about politics. It was just kind of like a safe space, so people would research all day long, then come to the High Vibe Love Tribe just to have a nice, just a sacred space where we could not be in fear. And so while they wanted the world in fear, we just created a space of love, and we helped actually save a lot of people's lives.
I like that name, the High Vibe Love Tribe. Very cool. Very cool. Is that still going on then?
We don't do, like, we did it 11 straight months, 7 days a week. There's only 4 days when we were like camping and things that didn't, but we do it every, once in a while here and there. We did it a couple weeks ago. We do it, not, regular like we used to, but we still got a core group of people that love to hang out and, just watch me silly dance. And then that's where I met my girlfriend through there. And so she was joining me up, and me and her were dancing. So it just, gave us a nice place where we could dance together every night. So, because, with the way life is, you sometimes don't get time to do those, special things with your, sweet loved one. And this just, promoted us to do that every single day. And, it was definitely, it's a fun experience to dance with your partner, especially live on the internet in front of everybody. But you definitely can't have it can't be too shy when you're doing that. That's for sure.
Sure. Yeah, no, it sounds fun. You just reminded me of my buddy Tim in Seattle, man. He loved to go out dancing. I was amazed at how many like little dance get-togethers privately at people's houses. He just knew all about him. He was always going to some little dancing get-together. It's just like we're talking about the High Vibe Love Tribe. A lot of things like that going on in Seattle when I lived out there. So good times.
So at the one point, before kind of a Facebook censorship kind of ramped up, we were getting like 3,000 to 4,000 live views per night at this High Vibe Love Tribe, and then that's why I was asked to do the Truth Telethon. I had obviously amassed a quite a big, kind of following of people. I was obviously about the truth for, a long, long time. And they said, hey, would you like to, host and MC the Truth Telethon? And I said, sure, I'm up for anything that'll make people awake and aware, even though we pivoted and I wasn't, about, kind of sharing that kind of stuff. I said, sure, I'll do it. And then they one of the ladies that was involved, it was called the Truth or Telethon, called me 13 days before it was supposed to happen, and bawling her eyes out. Oh, it's done. We can't do it. She's like, where they're trying to sell products and all this, and now it's not going to happen. I said, you know what? Me and you will put this thing on. And I obviously knew lots of people, and that's where we just started to reach out to everybody. And hence 13 days later, I hosted and emceed and put together and helped everything. And some people didn't show up, and then I had to go and just off the cuff, didn't even think that I would be going, but you had to. We had 26 truthers back to back to back for 13 straight hours. So I sometimes had to get right in there and just talk. And obviously I've been researching stuff for a long time, so it came natural. And then a lot of people said, Jesse, you found your calling. And then after this lady, she was probably part of the darker force, because the one that got us to do that Truth Telethon, she it comes from the billionaire class, and she kind of goes and meets people and then tries to get them against each other. And so that's kind of what we found out with her. So we parted ways from the Truth Telethon and then just created our own show, The Missing Link, where we just did one-on-one interviews opposed to long sessions of truthers back to back to back.
Yeah, I thought when you did that Truth Telethon, it was awesome. It was a great idea, and I was happy to be a part of that. So thank you.
Yeah.
So what do you see? You feel like you have some optimism. You see more people are questioning things than you've seen really in any other period of time. So you think we're on the verge of a breakthrough?
I sure hope so. And, you know, I have the ultimate optimistic view of things. I don't look at this. I think we've all been brought here at this pivotal time in history to, you know, make things right. You know, if whatever happens, I'm going to face infinity without flinching. But, you know, I feel that all this work that we've all been doing to, you know, make people awake and aware to what's going on, you know, can't be for naught. And I really think that, you know, more and more people are questioning, more and more people are not getting the things, you know, more and more people are, you know, seeing how dark this whole thing is. And I just heard about a town in the USA. I'm in Canada. I heard a town in the USA just fired the government or whatever. They were going to be putting a plant, a Chinese battery plant in their town. And they went and they fired them all. They locked the keys, brought a locksmith, shut them all out. And hopefully things like this motivate other people and show that, you know, the government is supposed to be we the people, and these corrupt people that are put into these positions are only there because, you know, we allow them. And when we stop allowing that corruption to happen, then it just stops happening. And, you know, ultimately, I don't want to look at this as, you know, a crash collision course for destruction. I think that we're smart enough, we got enough technology, we can figure out this place if, you know, people, you know, grow a set of nutsack again and pull up their big boy pants and, you know, actually stand up to this tyranny.
Indeed, indeed. I got to wrap this up pretty soon to make dinner over here. But since you're, you know, you know a lot of names in the community, you invited a lot of people to the Truth Telethon. Who are some of the people right now that you think are doing some of the best work to enlighten inquiring minds?
Well, you'd mentioned, you know, there's a whole bunch. Like we've interviewed over 70 doctors that speak out against the agenda. You know, everybody's doing their own thing. The biggest detractors, I guess, everybody's a shill. Everybody is, you know, nobody trusts anybody, and I think that that sets us back because there's so many people maybe not in alignment with everything that you're in, but we've got interviews like Crow 77 is coming up, you know, I think this month on our show. We've got a lot of doctors. This Thomas Bain, he's from Alpha Omega Energy. He's talking about, you know, benzene, and they're putting there in a lot of products. So I'm not specifically, you know, watching one person. I'm really busy with the show. You know, we've done 688 shows in the 3 years since, you know, the Truth Telethon. So
Out of
I'm
all
really
those shows,
focused on that.
are there 10 interviews that really spark your mind that just come to the top?
Jason Christoph. So he's a self-sabotage coach. And so he's like they program people through the TV, the music, the, you know, internet and all that. So he helps program people to not self-sabotage themselves. So he kind of uses the techniques that they use to program people to not want to, you know, to be a part of things. And he kind of uses that. And the last interview he's been on, I think the third interview we just had with him was about 2-3 months ago, was, you know, one of the best interviews we had. This last week we had a really like an all-star type of you know, all-star interviews. We just had Alpha Warrior. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he was a Marine that was a gang a police officer after his Marine for about 10 years. And then he kind of become awake and aware to what was going on. So he became a podcaster, and he actually got his door kicked in by the FBI because he had made some tweets about the Jan 6 and all that kind of stuff. So so he's got quite a fascinating story. Another guy, Leo Zagami, he's interesting guy. He's came from the Illuminati. He's still, you know, some people question him because as soon as I mentioned, you know, the Tiny Hatters, you know, he's kind of still in defense of them. So even though he's, you know, making people aware of what's going on, and I kind of pushed back a little bit with that, he's still in defense saying that they deserve, where else they supposed to go. And so there's, everybody's got their, kind of niche what they talk about and making people awake and aware. And just because he's still in defense of some people that are still doing this, it doesn't, lessen all of the information about what he's, bringing to the table and stuff. So I'm just for anybody that's, that's saying things that need to be said. I don't know who they're tied to. I don't know. I don't do like super research of where they all come from. As long as they're saying the right things that people need to hear, then I appreciate them coming on the show. And then we include our audience a lot into the questions, like into our interviews, right? So we bring up all of the comments, and when the audience asks good questions, because we want to make sure that the missing link is not just about me or not just about the person. It's about everybody is trying to find any missing links about the world or the person that, they want to share. So, we'd have it a little bit different. The way we have our platform is, kind of audience included, and, they feel really, good, not just us talking while everybody's in the background. They feel a part of the interviews. And that's kind of how we, kind of differentiate between most other people that are doing what we're doing.
Sure. And again, I met you through your invitation to the Truth Telethon, and that was a great event. And I'm glad you reached back out. When I get my channels deleted, I also lose my subs with it, and I lose track of people. And I think I'm on about 5 more channels since we did the Truth Telethon. So I'm going to get reacquainted. I'm gonna sub to Jesse the Missing Link Live and check out some of the interviews. So thank you for stopping by. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Zach. And we've had 4 YouTube channels deleted. We said F YouTube for a long time, but then we started getting involved with some panels and things. So we actually created another YouTube channel, and we're just over 2,000 subs now again on our new YouTube channel. We've had so many that we've had, deleted, but we go live on 6 platforms and then it got uploaded to 4 more. So Dollar Vigilante, I'm not sure if you know Jeff Berwick from the Dollar Vigilante. He actually
I am. He invited me to his event this year, and I wanted to be there, but it wasn't working out with my sweet lady. So, but yeah, I'm very much aware.
Yeah, so the reason why I mentioned that is after we had him on the show is the first time I met him. They actually picked up our show, so they broadcast our show onto his network as well, all of our episodes and stuff. So we're getting out there the best we can, and we've had DK Stonewood. He comes here a bunch of times, so we've interviewed him 3 or 4 times already, and he was like, "You got to get Zach on," and I said I've reached out because I had your number and I left a couple messages. I remember we were talking on Skype or whatever. I was trying to bring you on to the missing link, but then I think you subscribed to our Facebook, maybe a few months back or whatever. And I'm just looking to actually, book you. We're booked about 2 or 3 months in advance. We've got about 60 or 70 people booked on our show already. We've got a few spots left in May, and we're booking into June and stuff, right? It's kind of crazy how this just became a life of its own.
Yeah, June might be a good time. We'll see if our prediction lands. I've been anticipating since Biden took office that he'll exit the office sometime around June 1st before his term's up. Remains to see if that will happen. But yeah, so sorry, I don't mean to ignore your messages. I'm just really bad at keeping up with everything. I was just going through my cell phone today. I had over 600 text messages backlog, so I was trying to get caught up on those. But
would you like a spot in May or a spot in June? Because we still got a few spots.
Either of those are fine. Sure. Yeah, let's work out a time. If you can tell me the time right now, I'll write it down.
Okay, let's do just
I'll drop the link for your channel in the chat while you're figuring that out. If you guys want to give Jesse a sub, again, he had me on for his Truth Telethon way back when the pandemic was going on, which was a great event.
Yeah, we ended up doing 3 of them. Oops. Oh yeah, I put in my email address in the private chat. Just so you can send me an email if you. I don't think I have your email, but um,
Well, I'll send you an email and we can figure out when
on
it'll
May
come from
20th.
Gematria Effect News.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, I
perfect.
got you.
Okay, well, thanks for having me
All right.
up. Thanks for, helping promote our channel. You do great work. People have said you need to get Zach back on. So, hence I think that it'll be a great interview for us. On this guy,
Okay, yeah.
David Quigley Jr. He's the second one over beside Donut. So we interviewed Donut. He's always a fascinating interview. We've had him on the second time, but the other guy is John F. Kennedy Jr. Apparently the real one. They switched him when he was like 9 or 10 years old, and he feels he's the real John F. Kennedy Jr. That he was actually in the plane. They had brought him when they killed the body, like the fake one. It was his brother-in-law that they killed in that plane crash. They wanted him to die there, but he ended up surviving. He was holding on to this. He had a life preserver on, and he floated in the ocean, and just like wild. And another thing is we just try to look with a very open mind at everybody's story. So that way people can decide on themselves. We're not telling anybody what to think. We're just giving all the stories of everybody that's sharing out there, and letting people make up their own mind on whether they believe some of these crazy things like impregnated by aliens and all kinds of
Sure.
weird stuff that we the stories that come across our show. But that's kind of where I think I guess a good way to sum it up is we're recording history of everybody that's speaking out during this pivotal time. So 23 to 30 years down the road, when people say, what happened at that time? Who was actually speaking up and speaking out? We're going to have a whole database of everybody who is kind of speaking out. And I think that that's kind of sums up what, the missing link is
Are
about.
you putting your interview somewhere besides Google's platform?
Yeah, so we go live on our Rumble. I think we're just around 7,000 subscribers on Rumble. So we go live on Facebook, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and there's one more. And then we get uploaded to BitChute, Telegram, Odyssey,
Yeah,
and then Dollar Vigilante picked up our show as well. So we're trying to get us so many different places, so that way, if one platform axes us, we're still got all and we're trying to build up all our subscribers everywhere. So that way, even if we get axed somewhere, then we're not like we're having to start all over. We're already building this place everywhere, and we've been able to fly under the radar except for YouTube. But I've kind of figured it out. If anybody says any of the buzzwords, I just put it on private, and then they don't bother it. So I just I let people speak freely, and if they do say things that I think that might get a strike, I just put the video on private, but they can catch it on the other 9 different platforms that we're on.
Yeah, that's great that you got it everywhere. So yeah, it probably will be archived for all time. Well done. All right, Jesse. Well, it's great to see you, and I'll send you an email, and we'll link up. And thank you.
Sounds good, brother. And peace out, and may the source be with y'all.
Indeed. You too. All right, Jesse. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Yeah. If you guys want to give him a sub, I know he's a good guy. And again, he's just given a platform for everybody to get out their message. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's good to know DK Stonewood's. We have to go back and look for the DK Stonewood episodes. All right, you guys. Hey, and Styxhexenhammer666. Come on, man. Selling out. Isn't that what a Satanist would do? You can't say you're an ex-Satanist selling out like that. Shame on you. We'll leave it there for now, True Seeker. Have a great rest of your evening. And yeah, if you guys can go over to the podcast and just like click on the thing, that's what helps it track in the algorithm. And again, if you can get a big boom right at the beginning, they say that's like, it's really great for the future of your show. So I was thinking there was going to be more than 90 some people that clicked on the thing. I guess you guys watched it on YouTube, so you didn't feel like you needed me. But again, if you want to help me out and make that podcast successful, I just need to go over there and click on the thing and just start to play a little bit of it. Just play a little bit of it. If you can do a rating and give it a 5-star, that'd be cool. So do the one on Spotify, because the other platforms are smaller. I think Spotify's, and I'm not sure it's going to let me on iHeartRadio or iTunes or Google. They're giving me some kind of problem right now. So try to get that resolved, but we'll see what happens. All right, you guys. Thanks again, and until next time.